The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow is come up against us. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I will make the place of my feet glorious.
Because the Lord is going to restore everything. You're going to have a total different vibration on the earth, a total different smell. You're not going to be walking down the street and smell shit and piss, and no foul odors or nothing like that, because the lungs of the earth are going to be given back to it, which is all these trees and all of these flowers, and there's going to be a whole total different vibration. You're going to see the aura and how things are going to change and how elevated things are going to be. Our senses are going to be heightened. Everything about us is going to be glorified.
For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. The child shall die 100 years old. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build, and another inhabit. They shall not plant, and another eat. Whereas the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. It shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord.
The Lord said that on the Heavenly Father's right hand there are pleasures evermore. And it says that I have not seen, neither ear heard the things which the Lord hath prepared for them that wait for him. There's a whole another world of greatness that awaits us when the kingdom of heaven is established. It's not seen in this society. In this society, we only see carnal things that reason offers in this society. But when the kingdom is established, the Lord is going to open us up to a whole nother world, of pleasure, of knowledge, of wisdom, understanding, can't even be put into words, because our imagination only goes but so far.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great example towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful leg out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful leg, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al-Shah. All right, and what I want to get into, all right, this evening, dealing with the book of Tobit, all right, the first chapter, and as I've been recently, reading in the book of Tobit, I'm really just realizing how much, of a stand-up guy, Tobit was. He's a great example, of how we should be as believers, and how as men, should be as brethren. Okay. And, Tobit is not talked about a whole lot, was a lot of jewels, in the book of Tobit. And Lord will, we can go through, the whole book, and this is chapter 1, that we're going to start with, and we're going to go through it, get some precepts, and Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters are edified. Now, let's just start off here. All right, let's get straight to it. So you go here. All right, now this is the book of Tobit, chapter 1, verse 1. It said, the book of the words of Tobit, son of Tubiel, the son of Ananiel, the son of Adu, the son of Gabiel, the seed of Asal, of the tribe of Naphtali, okay, who in the time of Shalmaneser, all right, this is Shalmaneser, king of the Assyrians, all right, was led captive out of this B, which is at the right hand of their city, which is called properly Naphtali in Galilee, above, all right, Asher. Now, we have to understand what time period, he's speaking of, okay? This is around 722, and we'll go here and get this in the book of Kings. Let me share this real quick. All right, so when you go to the book of Second Kings, the 17th chapter, okay, this is the era, all right, of Tobit, okay. He was part of, the captivity taken by Shalmaneser, which was around 722 BC. Now, this is Second Kings 17 and 1. It says, in the 12th year, Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hosea, the son of Eli, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but the kings of Israel before him. Against him came Shalmaneser, all right, it's the same king, they're speaking of in the book of Tobit, all right, king of Assyria, and Hoshea, all right, became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, okay, what was he trying to do? All right, because Shalmaneser made him pretty much a vassal, a tributary state to the Assyrians. He made the Samaria, all right, which was a northern kingdom, all right, tributary, okay. But what did Hoshea do? It says, and the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, and he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away, all right, into Assyria, and placed them in Halah and Habar by the river Gazan, and in the cities of the Medes. Okay, and it shows you, all right, how everybody suffers under bad leadership. Okay, because Tobit, he got caught up in this captivity. Okay, based on decisions, all right, of the leadership. Which it was, all meant to happen. But this is just an example of how bad leadership gets a lot of people in bad situations, man. Okay, but let's go back to Tobit. Just want to get a time frame of Tobit. So we can relate it. In the scriptures. All right, now, so let's go back to Tobit. All right. So this is Tobit 1 and 3. It says, I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life in the way of truth and justice, and did many alms deeds to my brethren and my nation who came with me to Nineveh in the land of the Assyrians. And when I was in my own country, in the land of Israel, being but young, all the tribe of Naphtali, my father, fell from the house of Jerusalem, which was chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, that all the tribes should sacrifice there, where the temple of the habitation of the Most High was consecrated and built for all ages. Now all the tribes which together revolted, and the house of my father Naphtali sacrificed unto the heifer. All right, Baal. Okay, the northern tribes went heavy into idolatry. All right, under Jeroboam. Okay, and this is generations before Tobit. All right, where this happened, the split between Jeroboam and Rehoboam. Okay, we'll get it. All right, because this had to be, at least 250 years before Tobit, when this split occurred. Okay, but his father's house, they, all right, became idol worshippers, and it's the same. They became idol worshippers, and that's similar to the story of Abraham. Okay, his father was an idol worshiper. All right, but he was separated. All right, and Tobit, he separated himself from his father. Okay, which we're going to get. Okay, so let's get this in let's get this in First Kings. All right, and let's get to the point. So, pretty much they made petition to Rehoboam to lift the tribute, that was on them. And Rehoboam was like, nah, I'm gonna go harder, than Solomon. I'm gonna, my pinky gonna be like my father's loins. Was to say he was gonna go extremely hard, okay, on the northern kingdom, on the northern tribes. Okay. So when you had the split, okay, and Jeroboam became the king of the northern tribes, and this is what he led the northern tribes into, you know. First Kings 12 and 25 is that then Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Peniel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam king of Judah, and they shall kill me and go again to Rehoboam king of Judah. So he's like, look, if the northern tribes, okay, go down to Jerusalem and do sacrifice, all right, eventually they're going to be persuaded to be under, all right, Rehoboam, okay, King Rehoboam. You see? So he was like, look, we got to do something. So he came up with something to prevent, the northern tribes to having to go to Jerusalem, and do sacrifice, So he from the sea, he's going to set up his own thing. It said, whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 cows of gold and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold, thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel and the other put he in Dan. Okay. And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan. And he made an house of high places and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 9th month and in the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And he offered upon the altar, so did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places which he had made. So he set up the calf, okay? All right, the calf of Baal, you see. Then what did he do? He set up his own priest that wasn't Levites, which that was off. He just went way off, man. Okay. Verse 33. So he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel in the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel. And he offered upon the altar and burnt incense. So Jeroboam led the northern tribes heavy, into idolatry immediately after the split. Okay. And Tobit, all right, he's a descendant. Tobit was a descendant, from the tribe Naphtali, which was a part of their, rebellion. Okay. But when you go back to Tobit, all right, which, like I say, Tobit's story is similar to ours, man. It says, I read verse 4 again. This is Tobit 1 and 4. And it says, and when I was in my own country, in the land of Israel, being but young, all the tribe of Naphtali, my father fell from the house of Jerusalem, which we just read, which were chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, that all the tribes should sacrifice there, where the temple of the habitation of the Most High was consecrated and built for all ages. Now all the tribes which together revolted, and the house of my father Naphtali sacrificed unto the heifer of Baal. But I alone went to Jerusalem at the feast, as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree, having the first fruits and tenths of increase, with that which was first shorn, and that gave I at the altar to the priests, all right, the children of Aaron. Okay, so what did what did Tobit do? All right, he remained faithful, even though his kinsmen, okay, were going after Baal. He was loyal to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay, will let you know the elect, all right, are always going to be drawn back, okay, to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Let's get some precepts. And that was our story. You know, we left off from what our family was doing, and we started being faithful to our power, man. Okay. Uh, so let's go here. Get this in first. Let's get this in Genesis. All right, show you how this was similar to, okay, the story of Abraham. Okay, this is Genesis, the book of Genesis, chapter 12. Yep. So this Genesis 12 and 1, and this is what the Lord commanded Abraham to do. It says, now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And if a brother could put the book of Sirach 1 and 14 by Pesha. All right. So reading Genesis 12 and 1, it says, now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. Okay. So this is the Lord separating Abram from his father's house. Just as Tobit, he separated himself from his father's house to serve, all right, the Lord, all right, to serve Yahweh, okay, the one true God. And it says, I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Okay, so the Lord separated Abraham, all right, to be greatly blessed. And through Abraham, okay, we received everything, man. All right. Through the promises of Abraham and us being the descendants of Abraham through Isaac and Jacob, okay, we come into that blessing. It was just a blessing that Yahweh Shai pretty much secured for us through his sacrifice, man. Okay. And let's go from there, because, you know, it was always, you know, if you're of the elect, no matter what situation, no matter what type of captivity you're born in, hey, the Lord has something within the elect to always be obedient, you know, even if, you know, as we were, you know, scripts say, carried away to the dumb idols, you know, in this time, this westernization, okay, we will snap into it, okay, and be followers, man. Okay, that's why Yahushua said this, St. John 10 and 27, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Okay, so the elect, all right, is something in them because they're predestined to make it, to always snap into it and be faithful, no matter what the rest of the world is doing, no matter what our people is doing, no matter the conditions of society. The elect eventually snap into it. Okay, and what else did Yahushua say when you go to Matthew? Okay, I said, this is, our story as well, because we had to be separated. When you go to Matthew 10 and 34, it said, think not that I come to send peace on earth. I come not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Okay? And it will be based off what? Doctrine. The separation is the doctrine. Okay? Because our people, our families, the majority of our families, all right, they're pretty much into idolatry, whether they're Christians, Islam, or just don't give a damn, just out here worshiping themselves and worship the beast. They're going after idolatry, man. Okay, verse 36 it says, "And a man's foes shall be of his own household." Okay, and that's the situation that we came out of, man. A lot of our people, whether it's hostile or whether it's just, a disagreement, pretty much we became foes based off the doctrine. Okay. Yep, brother, put it for me, the water, brother. All right, this is the brother GMS Shaw Lakama. And right, this Sirach 1 and 14 says, "To fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the faithful in the womb." Okay, so the Lord always has something, always put something within the elect to where at that set time they will snap into it and become obedient and become faithful. Okay, to the point that they'll die. They'll put their life on the line. All right, about what they believe. Okay, so let's go back to Tobit. To show that he would, he had that unmovable, okay, faith in the Lord, man. You know, so back in Tobit chapter 1, verse, all right, I started 6 again. It said, "But I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast, as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree, having the first fruits and tenths of increase, with that which was first shorn, and them gave I at the altar to the priests, the children of Aaron. The first tenth part of all increase I gave to the sons of Aaron, who ministered at Jerusalem. Another tenth part I sold away and went and spent it every year at Jerusalem. And the third I gave unto them to whom it was meet, as Deborah, my father's mother, had commanded me, because I was left an orphan, all right, by my father. Okay, so he was taught this from his youth up, and his grandmother, you know, um, she had to be, in order too, and she commanded him to do right, by, his kinsmen, especially those of the faith. Okay, and that's why scriptures say what? Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he get older, he shall not depart. In the book of Proverbs, okay, he was trained up, you know, and we had to become children, within the faith. All right, and we've been trained up. All right, so when we get in Jacob's trouble, we won't depart. We had to be born again and brought back into, the faith. So as we're trained up, you know, in the spirit, we won't depart in the time of chaos, man. Okay, and it says, "And when we were carried away captives of Nineveh, all my brethren and those that were of my kindred did eat of the bread of the Gentiles." Okay, so you had, his kindred, and when it says eat bread, it goes beyond, just eating, the diet of the Assyrians, which is a unlawful meats within that. Okay, but also when you start to partake in this diet, you start to partake what in these lifestyles. Okay, you start to be compromised. You see, but the scriptures tell us about that. Let's go get it. All right, so we go here to the book of Proverbs 23, Okay. Proverbs 23:1, it says, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, because remember, what did Most High tell Ezekiel do? Eat this roll. All right, talking about the Bible, which means to digest it. Okay, and as we digest it, this becomes what scripts, what's the saying in the world? You are what you eat. Okay, so his kinsmen started to partake in the bread of the Gentiles, and pretty much they became Gentiles, man. Okay, they became assimilated to their culture. Okay, but Tobit was steadfast, in Yahweh Bashim al Shah. It says, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee. Okay, and we'll have an example of this in the book of Daniel, which we will read that. And put a knife to thy throat, if thou be a man given to appetite, be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. Okay, and pretty much the northern kingdom was persuaded further into idolatry, man. Okay, under the Assyrians, they partook in that deceitful meat, man, which basically goes into doctrine and lifestyle, man. Okay, because the scriptures, when you go to Isaiah 55:1, okay, it says, ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that have no money, come ye and buy and eat. You see that? Yeah, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Okay, because hey, we have access to this word. Okay, which is like to wine and milk, waters, the living waters. We have access to these things, and we don't have to come out of pocket, man. If you're persuaded to pay tithes, hey, that's a beautiful thing. Okay, but for the most part, man, every lesson, you don't have to, every time a lesson come on, you don't have to dish out money. Okay, you're getting this spiritual food, this spiritual buffet without money. You just have to, you pretty much you pay for it with your time. Okay, verse 2 said, wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread? Okay, and our people are engulfed into all these different doctrines and religions, where it's American politics, Christianity, Islam, Egyptology. They're invested into these things that are not bread, which doesn't sustain them. Okay, it says, and you labor for that which satisfieth not. Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight in fatness. Okay, and now we're eating of the bread of life, which is Yahweh Shah. All right, but Tobit, he refused, to eat the bread of the Gentiles. Okay, let's get back to it. Yep, brother, put some more. This brother GMS Sha'ar Lakama. It says, incline, all right, not my heart to any evil thing, to practice wicked works, all right, with men that work iniquity, and let me not eat of their dainties. Okay, you see that? Partaking in their way of life, man. Okay, feasting and partying in their way of life, man. You see, partaking in their way of life. Okay. Yeah, as a brother put this, bro, Lakahum of Yahweh's children, Matthew 10:8. It says, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely give. Okay, so we freely receive of this word, so we freely, give. Okay, so let's go back to Tobit. Read down. Okay, as a Tobit, steadfast in righteousness. It says, this is back in Tobit 1:10. It says, and when we were carried away captives to Nineveh, all my brethren and those that where my kindred did eat of the bread of the Gentiles, but I kept myself from eating, because I remember the Most High with all my heart, and the Most High gave me grace and favor before Shalmaneser, so that I was made his per, perovier, purrier, if I'm saying it right, and pretty much like an administrator. So he had an office within the king's courts, and that shows you that what her brother can put that in Proverbs 16:7. Okay, he didn't have to sell out. He got favor from the Lord, and that's one thing I'm learning. Like, there's nothing to beat favor from the Lord. Like, to still have your soul intact, to still know that you're in good standings with Yahweh Bashim Al Shai and receive favor. He didn't have to sell out. He didn't have to partake and be conformed to an Assyrian. He stayed steadfast, and the Lord still had favor on him, man. Through Shalmaneser. Okay. And the scriptures, all right, this is the brother GMS Shah Lakama, Proverbs 16:7. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Okay. Guess what? Shalmaneser had just besieged, all right, Samaria, taking the northern tribe captive, but the Lord had, all right, because of Tobit's, obedience and faith and steadfastness and righteousness, he had favor on him, man, to where he was a well-to-do, and it says, and I went into Media and left in trust with Gabriel, the brother of Gabrius, all right, a Rages, a city of Media, 10 talents of silver. Now, when Shalmaneser was dead, Sennacherib, his son, reigned in his stead, whose state was troubled, that I could not go, all right, into Media. And in the time of Shalmaneser, I gave my alms to my brethren, and gave my bread to the hungry, and my clothes to the naked. And if I saw any of my nation dead or cast about the walls of Nineveh, I buried him. Okay, so what Tobit was doing physically, we're doing in the spirit now. Okay, now let's get some precepts, all right, to prove that, man. Okay, so let's go here. He was extremely charitable. He was in a good position. I say he was well to do. When Shalmaneser was king, and he looked out, for his people. All right, but now we do these things in the spirit. Okay, and what Tobit was doing, physically. All right, when you go to the book of Matthew 25. All right, Matthew 25:31. It says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, all right, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divided his sheep, okay, from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on the right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them in his right hand, which are the elect of Israel, come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was a hunger, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee a hunger and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? Okay, or when saw we thee sick or in prison and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, insomuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me. Okay, so as as we teach, we're feeding the poor. Okay, we're clothing the naked. We're loosing the prisoners out of prison in the spirit. Okay, because you go here. All right, because we even the men that's teaching, we had to be loosed out of prison to be able to go teach. We had to be clothed, all right, and fed, so we could do the same to others. Okay. This is Isaiah 52:1. It says, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. From henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. So this message is about what? All right. Part of the ministry is telling our people to wake up to who they are. Put on their strength, which is Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, through faith and obedience. Okay, because that creates a closeness between us and our power. Okay, and this is our beautiful garments. Our conduct is our beautiful garments. Okay, verse 2, shake thyself from the dust, which is confusion, arise and sit down. Okay, and also the grave, you're in the dust. Okay, you're in the dirt. When they say dirt nap, when you out of there. Okay, it says, shake thyself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem, loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. Okay, and this truth, has loosed us, all right, from that mental prison of this captivity, man. Okay, when you go here to Isaiah, all right, 61. All right, it was an exaltation of the afflicted. It said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted and proclaim liberty to the captives. Okay, this is how, our people are being visited in prison through this word. Okay, the prison of their minds, and it's being unloosed. They're being loosed. Okay, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Okay, so what Tobit was doing physically, we're doing in the spirit. Yep, brother. You see? That's what the brother got it. Get it. And it said, verse 2, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn. Okay? To comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beautiful ashes and oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise, okay, for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called the trees, okay, of righteousness, the planting, all right, of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Okay, so in the spirit, we're doing what Tobit was doing, all right, physically, man. What he was, what he was doing practically, we were doing in the spirit. All right, so let's go back to Tobit. So this is back in the book of Tobit. Okay. It says in the time of Shalmaneser, all right, I gave my alms to my brethren, and gave my bread to the hungry, and my clothes to the naked. And if I saw any of my nation dead or cast about the walls of Nineveh, I buried him. And if the king Sennacherib had slain any when he was come and fled from Judea, all right, I buried them privily, for in his wrath, all right, he killed many, but the bodies were not found when they were sought for of the king. Yes, Sennacherib just a damn demon, man. Okay, and when one of the Ninevites went and complained to me, to the king, that I buried them and hid my and hid myself, understanding that I was sought for to be put to death, I withdrew myself from fear. Then all my goods were forcibly taken away. So Tobit, he put everything on the line to do right by his kinsmen, man. Okay? Just as what Elder Malcolm said, in the beginning of his videos, he commends the brother, that are risking their life and their freedom, to teach this word, man. And Tobit, he was risking everything to teach this word, man. Okay? If a brother can put that, I think that's the 2 Timothy 2:10, endure all things for the elect's sake. Okay? Revelation 2:10, you put that up there, brother can put that up there, you know. Hebrews 6:10, brother can put that. Okay? But he was burying dead bodies. Okay? And brother can put that too, Revelation 11:8, because we was the spiritually dead. Okay? You see? But we was never, put to rest. Okay, we just left because that's an embarrassment not to be buried. That's a dishonor not to be buried, just to be left on the ground. That's dishonor. Okay, you ride away above the ground. That's a dishonor, and the nation was just looking at us right away. But guess what? When we was buried, we was able to what? Be born again. You see, when we were able to bury them dead corpse, just as your house shot, we was able to be raised up again, man. Okay. In fact, let me get that since I said it. Yeah, if a brother can get that in Matthew 5 and let's see. That's also not Matthew, St. John. St. John 5 and St. John 5 and 25. All right, this is 2 Timothy 2:10. It said, therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, all right, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Yahushua HaMashiach with eternal glory. Okay, so Apostle Paul, he endured, being beaten, he had to be, he had to hide, and, he had to be snuck out of cities, to teach the gospel so his kindred can get this word. He put it all on the line. This is Tobit did, man. And we're in that same stead of putting it all on the line. All right, and there's gonna be a time they're gonna be coming for us. All right, for pushing this word, man. All right, GMS Shar Lakama, Revelation 2:10 said, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful, okay, unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. There's a reward, okay, for what we're doing. It's dangerous, all right, but it's worth it. Okay, GMS Shar Lakama, Hebrews 6:10, for the Most High is not unrighteous to forget your work and your labor of love, which you have showed towards his name, and that you have ministered to the saints and do minister. Okay, this is a labor of love, just as the apostle means like Tobit, he was doing, all right, a labor of love. You see, so yeah, we can get that in what's that? Yeah, St. John 5 and 25. I'm gonna finish reading this Tobit real quick. Okay. Let me finish reading this in Tobit. And just a little piece left. All right, so Tobit lost it all, and we finna lose it all, man. It said, then all my goods were forcibly taken away, neither was there anything left me besides my wife Anna and my son Tobias. And there passed not 55 days before two of his sons killed him, and they fled into the mountains of Ararat, and Sarkadanis, his son, reigned in his stead. Yeah, because his son killed that nigga Sennacherib. All right, that demon, man. Okay, he said, who appointed over his father's accounts and all over his affairs. All right, Acharias, my brother and now son. So guess what? It ended up to where Tobit still had a nephew who was within the king's courts. Okay, So hey, favor gonna kick back in again. You know, he lost everything, but guess what? You know, hey, the Lord still had a avenue of mercy for him, man. It says in Acharias, entreating for me, I returned to Nineveh. Now, Acharias was cupbearer and keeper of the signet and steward and overseer of the accounts. Jake was way up there, man. Jake was way up there, man. Okay, and it says that Sarchedonus appointed him next unto him. You see that? So even in the Syria, you had the northern kingdom that was second in command. Okay, and he was my brother's son, which he was Tobit's nephew, man. Okay, so hey, things around Tobit changed, but he stayed faithful, and somehow he always will fall into the Lord's mercy, man. Okay, and that's how it's gonna be for us in the times to come during Jacob's trouble, man. We're gonna fall into the Lord's mercy, man. Okay, this is GMS Shar like John 5:22, and it said, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of the Most High, and they that hear shall live." Okay, so hey, those old bodies were buried. You know, those old bodies of shame and dishonor was buried. We was risen. All right, through the voice of Yahweh, through this preaching, man. Okay. It's heavy, man. You know, but that's the point. You know, this Tobit chapter 1. You know, if you brothers and sisters want to read along, you know, as you go through these series, you know, Lord will, you know, I can get at least one chapter in a week. You know, read chapter 2. You know, and we can go over it. You know, if you got any questions, you know, before the end on chapter 2, you know, you can feel free to leave it on the comment board of this video, and you know, we'll delve into it. All right, so Lord will, you brothers, and you know, you few sisters are edified once again, and give all praise and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh by Hashem, Kakodash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great example to us younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutations, hopefully, Shalom, Abba, DTA soon.